We are the United States of America. We've got great athletes, we've got a great sporting culture, but we've not done well in rugby. A nation as great as we are, with athletes as great as we have, at any sport that we do, we should be able at some point to move into the playoff bracket, if you will. And the fact is, we haven't done well in the World Cup. We haven't been able to get out of the pool stage. And it really just comes down to our best athletes are competing in NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, NBA, and when we go up against England and New Zealand and Australia, South Africa, their best athletes are playing rugby.
If the Alabama Crimson Tide came and took all their resources and all their players and played rugby for a year, how good would they be? We think they'd be pretty good, so we're going to do that here.
The big idea of the XO camp is just to get a lot of players who are high caliber athletes and try to get them into some high level rugby training.
It's just a grand experiment. We're asking these exceptional athletes to come and give rugby a try.
And through the week, drip feed them a bit of Rugby 101.
With the program and the coaching that we've got here, we can really turn you into the specimen for our sport.
To try to transfer a football player into a rugby player.
The best rugby players that represent the United States of America have often been crossover athletes.
I think there's many of these athletes across America, and hopefully it's going to turn a little bit more contagious once we give them a taste of rugby here.
Our ultimate goal is to win a World Cup.
We've seen these guys play football, we've seen film of these guys, we know they're great athletes. This camp is definitely them seeing our coaches and getting involved in our environment here, seeing that this is a family they want to be part of.
Okay, I guess we'll get started. My name is Mark Bullock and I'm the director of rugby here. I have an opportunity to just step back in and coach while I also oversee the entire program. I've had state championships in football, state championships in rugby, national championships in rugby with men and women, and I've had players who've been off to the NFL and actually have Super Bowl rings. They asked me to come down here and build a rugby stadium and develop a rugby program. That rugby program has won national championships on the men's side, the women's side. We also were instrumental in starting the Major League Rugby and professional rugby in the U.S. And now we're moving on in a different direction. And the direction that we're moving right now is, how do we win the World Cup?
I want to be an Olympian. I want to win the gold medal. They don't have football in the Olympics, so why not rugby?
Part of the reason we haven't done well in rugby is because a lot of our best athletes are going to get a scholarship to play football or basketball or wrestling or some other major sport. But there's a big C out there for rugby.
You know, rugby is just like football. I get to tackle, I get to run, I get to score, I get to just be me.
And what we want to provide you is an opportunity to transition to rugby, to be seen by the U.S. national team.
I honestly want to try to get to the national team as soon as possible.
I want to start with introductions.
Hey guys, I'm Julian Robinson. I went to Purdue University.
I love Purdue. I've always been a Purdue fan my whole life. I do come from an athletic family. My dad played in the NBA for 10, 11 years. My brother currently finished up this season with the 76ers. Everyone in my family is very supportive of the idea and of the dream of me being successful in rugby.
Well, I grew up playing football in the streets, actually. You know, 7-on-7, where you could play with the guys. And then I finally started playing organized football. I went to University of Rhode Island, and our career just took off. I had the best of time there. I had a shot with the NFL. I worked out for two teams, the Redskins and the Ravens. That kind of didn't fall through, so I kept pushing. I just finished with the USA bobsled team. That was a great experience. I had fun. And now I'm here because rugby is the closest thing I could get to football, where I could be back to myself and in my element, just purified in the best sport ever.
Trey Smalls from Charleston, South Carolina. My first ever love in sport was football. Football, basketball, baseball. My dad, being able to be coached by him, it allowed me to be all-region 3 years in a row in basketball, as well as track, and as well as football.
I played football for 16 years. My senior year, I tore my ACL and MCL completely. I took that year off, just kind of rehabbing, re-strengthening. I went out to FIU, the college, and we ended up having a club team there for rugby. It's different from football, as you can tell. I remember I scored on the first run, and I got to the touchdown. I didn't know what to do. They was like, touch it down, and someone came and grabbed me. So I was like, oh, okay, so now I know. It's literally a touchdown.
I played Pee Wee League football growing up. That was a way for me, you know what I'm saying, to take myself out of the street. Now I'm, in my books. You gotta be a student off the field, and you gotta be a student in life. So I always being willing to learn. And like me taking this opportunity to play rugby right now says a lot about my character.
I'm Dayton Sheridan from San Antonio, Texas.
Mom wouldn't let me play football. I begged my mom, hey, please let me play football. Had the coaches come to the house, please, let your son play, he's an athlete, please. And finally, 7th grade, I got to play football. I played up until my freshman year in college, and after that, I just turned it over to rugby. I just fell in love with it from day one.
For every one of you, you took a risk to come here. Risk takers are people who make great things happen, because the complacent person who does nothing knows nothing of the ecstasy of winning a game, and they know nothing of the pain of losing, because all they're doing is sitting on their butt. And by you being here tells me you're a risk taker, because you're taking a risk to go from something you know to something you know nothing about or very little about. So I congratulate you for being here and for coming here. New game, new rules. It's going to be a whole new thing.
Been around guys that haven't touched a rugby ball in a lot of the sense, so it's really a fresh blank canvas to teach guys a new sport and see how they respond, and hopefully feel the same love that a lot of us around here have for the game. It's going to be an interesting week ahead to see how they handle the ball and the drills that we give them, but ultimately it's a starting point. From there we'll see where they go.
I had no idea what to expect, but coming in, the coaches did a great job of introducing us to the sport. It was high pace, it was intense, and it was a lot of learning and teaching at the same time.
Hopefully what they see with this ball is opportunity to go on a pretty cool adventure, advance their career, pick it up and run with it.
All right, guys, that just makes me smile. We're a little bit confused, but that's okay. That's part of it. So, key factor, everybody. The person with the ball is going to create space because he's got the key to unlock the door. So, person with the ball is going to come up and just take a step here. He's not going to throw the ball back there because our first rule is to go forward. So he's going to pop the ball up there.
It almost gave me a football feel again, that you can't move forward with the ball, so whoever has the ball, they act as if they're a quarterback.
I might have to do it like this, step here and go, whoa, because he's way back there. Or I might have to give him a short pass. You have to make that decision.
Well, I played slot tight end in the NFL, so I would run routes. So it kind of gave me that feel again. I felt kind of more in my habitat.
All right, slow jog, go.
I thought the single file passing line drill was awesome.
The idea of backward passing was different.
The team sent me a rugby ball in the mail, and I had never seen or held one in my hands before. Passing the ball across my body in that first line drill came pretty naturally. I was kind of picturing myself sliding the ball across the table.
I think after the first or second time, we had it down.
I gotta tell you what, men, that was so much better. That's so much better. So what's gonna happen on this one? Same kind of thing, but this is simulating he's been tackled, but he can keep the ball alive. His hands are free, he can pass it. Yes. Okay, Reds, have a go. Keep going.
The idea of backward passing was different. When I got recruited for this camp, I completely started training for it. So today it wasn't fairly new to me, but it was actually different being in an environment, being coached up versus doing it on your own with my mom. She helped me out a lot. That was my training partner, so shouts out to her.
That's it. Pop, pop.
Control it. Oh, well done.
You're going to partner up 1v1, and we're going to go through the mechanics of how we make a rugby tackle.
What I want to see is hands behind the back. Once you hear go, dropping our body height, shuffle, shuffle, ball in, okay? Shoulder to ball, lead leg, lead shoulder.
As the football player in me, it sparked my interest. Just seeing these guys go out there, no pads on, no helmets on, hitting each other. It was a very different sport.
In football, you're taught to tackle with your head across the ball. You can't do that in rugby. You don't have a helmet on. You take a knee to the jaw once, and you're no longer wanting to do your head across the ball.
Even though this isn't contact and we don't have a wrap, you can still get into his box and make him feel it, right? You don't need to knock him into next year, but you can still hit and try stick. This is not effective in the drill, okay? Shuffling my feet. Okay, good, move on. Live rugby, you're going to get trucked.
The D lineman in me loves to see good hits, good tackles, and that's what these rugby players do. They tackle well, they go out there, they're hard-nosed, they really want to get after it.
So now we're going to bring in our boxing gloves. So we get them up, okay, on the go, chopping our feet, lead leg, lead shoulder, okay. Boom, I'm going right shoulder here, through and rack.
Thing that I get asked a lot is injuries in rugby compared to football. Without the helmet on, it's actually kind of a dichotomy. It's like you would think that this would be more dangerous without pads on. And a lot of the studies and things we've seen is actually rugby is less dangerous on a high level injury rate. The main reason for that is that you don't have the helmet on. Like, you're not throwing your helmet into somebody's knee.
Whatever terms you use in football, fucking defending the line, fucking owning the fucking yards, whatever, it's the same in rugby. Every time they get the ball, we're knocking them into next year. We need to control the contact, okay? We won't control the contact coming from here. If I'm from here and I'm coming out, okay, I can get into his box all day, but what's that? That's a train wreck, okay? And I'm on the back end of it. So when I say to do something, we fucking execute it, especially something simple like getting your hands up, okay?
They did a great job of teaching us properly how to tackle.
Chopping my feet, lead leg, lead shoulder, punching out, whipping his hips, then I'm coming back and lift. The collision isn't done until I've lifted the man.
I compared it to a double leg takedown in wrestling. Me and Cloud were partners on that drill, and he was a former wrestler. So he picked up on that just as well as I did.
Well done.
Doing that drill, it did help me find new power. Say if I do speed training for football, I'm known to get in a track position where my hips are a little bit higher than my torso. In this drill, you have to be flat, you know what I mean? So you're moving all that energy forward. And it's something I had to get used to and adjust my body with. Once I got it down, I saw how beneficial it can be.
That's it, fellas.
I thought overall, good job, but there's some things we want to work on because we don't want you injured. Okay, we want you dominating tackles. There are a few people that had some difficulty where they want to put their head across. Well, what happens in a game is you'll get hit and break your nose and get knocked out. Okay, that's a bad thing. So you can practice this in the hotel, at home. You set a chair up, you get out there and you just work, bang, bam, bam, all right? And you just, little teeny games like that to get yourself ready, become the player you want to be. Okay, we're gonna go down with Mose. We're going to 2-on-1s and then 3-on-2s. So a little competition.
Ready, go. There you go. Stay inside, stay inside, stay inside. There you go, nice.
What I think that football athletes bring to rugby would be, I think they'll bring that work ethic off the field, which will help them now on the field.
What do you do then? That first man who goes to the outside, if I get in front of him, he doesn't have an option to bail out if he gets line speed on him. So get out, pull your width, chop your feet, let him go. Once you can see his back, then it's go time, yeah?
It's a lot more of a different training that football players are used to, so I think their endurance will really come through as well.
So listen, so everything that we did from the beginning, timing our run, passing the ball across, catch, look, pass, this is where it's going to happen, right? There's going to be live defense coming in front of you, 3v2. And let's see how good our hands is to put the third person away, okay?
Football players coming across, I think there's going to be challenges for each position. Defensive-minded guy who hasn't had his hands on the ball a lot, maybe his skills aren't quite when they need to be and needs extra attention. Maybe an offensive side of the ball, he has to learn a bit more of the defensive role.
I'm not used to catching with my fingers and transitioning over, but I'm definitely used to pressure, so I think that if I get the speed down, that I'm not going to have much trouble dealing with somebody getting ready to tackle me.
Drop through even more, big man.
So in the bar sled drill, being in that different position, you're a lot lower to the ground, and then you want to come out of there with some power through the hips and legs. It's different from pushing a sled as a defensive lineman.
All right, so now what we don't want to have is that sag. So we want to drop the hips. Yes. There it is. Chest up. All right. Good. The group of the athletes that I'm most looking forward to are actually the crossover wrestlers. Rugby's all about one-on-one competition. It's like little snippets of you versus me, who's gonna win this battle, and that's all wrestling is. Stay tuned to the wrestlers, because those are the ones that I'm most curious to see.
Luckily for me, in wrestling, we've had a lot of experience with sleds. Generally, when I squat, I have a wider stance, just being 6'6", and because of that, I figured that I would generate a little bit more power with a wide stance, just because that's what I'm used to.
This play, we're trying to just narrow it touch. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, right?
Yeah, sure. Coach Shabbat told me that it's a little bit more natural to have your feet just outside of shoulder width apart. When I tried that position, I actually felt myself being more powerful and hitting that sled a little bit harder.
Chest through, yes. All right, up, up, up. So to me, that looks a little bit more powerful and stronger. Yeah. But how do you feel out of it?
No, that felt good like that.
Perfect. So we'll just bring you in just a touch because it'll look a lot stronger and a lot more powerful.
Okay.
Coach Shabbat, she was a very good prop. When we were doing the scrum drills on the sled, she was really giving some great information about how to get that leverage.
So imagine if I went into the weight room and I tried to clean from this position. Right? I've already given up my biggest part of my body. So that means if I try to scrum, and I've already given up my biggest piece of my power, what do I have left to push with? I have absolutely nothing. So that's why we want to get into more of this 90 here. Because then what's going to happen is I'm going to explode my hips, 1, 2, and I'm already back in it. Extend the hips, 1, 2, hold.
I see it now. So
Yep.
hips, 1, 2.
Yep,
Yeah.
hips.
Hips, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just 1, 2.
You guys were just barreling through.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Mayor, could you step into my office, Mr. Mayor? Okay, gentlemen, this is Mayor Mike Donovan. He's the reason we're all here.
Nice to meet you. Well, this has been a dream of ours for
20 years.
20 years. The Americans have been accused in the past of not being able to play rugby because we had the wrong mentality. Even though we've got the world's greatest athletes, people didn't understand who we were as Americans. And today we put our flag in the ground and we say to the rest of the world, we're gonna have a pint with you, we're gonna sing with you, and then we're gonna beat you. So we have a little thing we do in rugby that's really important, and this is for you. 3 cheers. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Now we win the World Cup.
First day was very fun, learned a lot. Coaching staff was very informative. Man, I had a good time.
If we're coming out here and not knowing what to expect, I thought that this first practice went amazing. These coaches are really here to turn us into great athletes, know exactly what they want, and they're doing a great job of imprinting that on us.
We have 40 contracts available to come live here full-time, an apartment with us, paid for by us in January, and with your training table meals paid for, with a stipend of miscellaneous spending money, insurance, trainers, our whole facility come along with that.
Potentially being able to be called up, to be trained full-time, I think it's a great opportunity I'm gonna capitalize on and take the ball and run with it.
Ultimately, this is the first time doing it. We don't know what we don't know. I'm coming in here with no preconceived ideas of an athlete. If he's been at the NFL, it doesn't mean he's any higher on the list than someone who's just played college football. We can't fall in love with that because this is a whole new sport.
Getting this contract will mean a lot because I'll be around that atmosphere of a lot of guys with that skill, and I believe that I can be a dangerous player with my attributes alone, so I just imagine myself with that skill set.
After we ask all those hard questions like spouse, kids, job, lease, tryouts with the NFL, all these things, like, do you want to be here? Do you want to give this an opportunity? We want to really let them know like what this is here. That this is a city here, this is a family here, this is a stable place to be, and then let them know honestly what we think some potential opportunities are for them.
I've only been playing for a year and a half, but pro ball is all I've been thinking about. Like being a US Eagle, training 365 days, like it's been tough, and getting an invite to come back would be a blessing.
The aspect that we hope will happen is that they'll have a growth curve that'll be huge, and their athleticism will allow them to adapt to the game.
We're going to be playing 10 months out of the year next year. We're going to be playing domestic season here from January to May.
And then what we were planning to do is in the fall of 2021 is to begin to play international schedule.
Like an ideal process would be they come to the camp, we sign them, they move here in January, they play the 4 months, 5 months with us. The U.S. national team is already interested and looking at them, they potentially come into a camp with the U.S. national team that next fall. The perfect progression would be them playing in the 2023 World Cup.
Well done, good talk, boys.
Luke Roast on our staff is a person that's physically gone through that process and was playing internationally for 13 seasons after that.
I was a basketball player at Marshall University. When I started grad school, I subleased 4 bedrooms out to a bunch of rugby guys. And one thing led to another, I'm playing rugby. The contact, the camaraderie, the transition from attack to defense, sometimes it's vicious. It's something you either love or you hate, and I absolutely loved it. The first time I pulled on a US jersey, the emotions I felt were incredible. The pride, how humble I felt representing your country. It was just one of those feelings that you can't really describe. The experience is just overwhelming. Being a crossover athlete and starting rugby after a life of basketball at the age of 24, you really have to focus on the basics. Because if you try to do everything, you do nothing, and your athleticism doesn't come out.
So in the laws of rugby, anything above the shoulders is considered a high tackle, and that's a penalty. That's why we have our boxing hands, okay? Our boxing hands are coming through and wrapping rather than stiff arming.
The key point that he's talking about, if I come in and I tackle like this, that's a penalty. Might get me 10 minutes out of the game. So my team plays with 14 instead of 15. If I come in like this and go here without trying to wrap, that is 10 minutes. If I hit him in the head doing that or doing this, that's red card. You're out of the game. Your team plays the rest of the game for 14 players. All right? So it's incumbent upon us to use our hands and do the punch this coach is talking about. So we have to have discipline when we play the game.
First day, I was a little nervous at first. You know, not really knowing what to expect. Like, are we gonna get thrown into the fire like we do with football? But being able to sit back and listen to the coaches and learn like how to do it properly was like the best thing ever.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna be a player, so I'm off here. I can't just get up and come straight into here. I gotta get up, come around, and what I'm gonna do is start low, put almost my chest on here, make contact, and drive them off, okay? And we wanna drive the length of the cylinder.
The ruck clearing drill, my favorite drill. It was new to me, new to all of us, but being able to be a lot more physical than what we were doing before. So being able to come in and hit a guy, it gives me that kind of, not so much of a football hit, but it's just you know, a good sense of being able to power through someone and clear them off of the bag completely.
Yes, that's it. Come in. Come in here. We have to be disciplined with our physical contact, right? We gotta come low, make that contact, hook that leg, but we have to have the physical awareness to understand we can't just be diving on the ball because that's a penalty. So what I want us to do is make that good hard pop contact like we were. Hook that leg, but then take off like an airplane. Because if I bring my chest up and through, extend my hips like a power clean, I'm gonna have to go up versus coming down.
Reshaping the way that a football player tackles is hard. So I completely turn off my football side, 100%. I turn into straight wrestling mode, double leg takedown, making sure that I'm getting that knee and head on the same side, because it's dangerous if you don't. As a football player, I think all the guys need to kind of just take away that football style, breaking down, getting in front of them, trying to put head on ball. It has to be replaced with this newer tackle.
Right now, you guys are making contact, creating that space, but we're not following through with our feet. What we're gonna do is we're gonna challenge ourselves, no one on the ground. So if you're clearing, everybody's up. Yeah, can we do this?
We're not tackling.
Here we go.
3 versus 1. One person had the rugby ball, 3 people with pads, and the person with the ball had to choose a hole to go through.
Straighten back up. That's way.
One of the more competitive things you can do, because you get to run and also be physical, kind of more of the game setting drills that we've done so far. I like that drill specifically because from my football background, playing fullback, we worked with the running backs, so that's something I was used to. Getting the ball, turning around, seeing contact, making a decision, then moving quick. So anything that's familiar, you're comfortable, you're in your zone.
That's Gotcha. Good. Well done. Well done.
I do enjoy the fact that I do get to carry the ball. Very different to the position that I played, but you know, I got to tote the ball around a little bit today, and you know, got to impose my will on some people.
If the defender's here, and I'm coming into contact here, do I want to switch this ball here, and then once I clear, switch it back so it always stays away?
Potentially, yeah. Okay. If you can, without dropping it, yeah.
The idea of being a battery ram in general is kind of exciting, you know, because I don't feel like there'd be many people that would look at me and would think to themselves, yeah, I really want to try and tackle him. You know, just being able to go out there and be as physical as I can be. I'm looking forward to that.
Well done.
It was really important to be physical and be aggressive and make sure still that you have control and your feet are driving through on the ground. Just getting that little bit of leverage, whether you were attacking or defending. You were getting low, getting your leverage. It was a very taxing drill, and if you didn't have the right leverage or technique, you were getting blown out of there.
Hold on, boys.
Just in this little drill, we get some competitiveness without smashing the crap out of each other.
There were a couple other tackling drills where you do have to learn to tackle with front foot forward and your head on the same side and your shoulder on the same side. So I thought those were great teaching moments for a lot of us football guys.
I have to stay low, but I'm a short guy, so naturally that was pretty easy for me. And what surprised me, big guys was getting low. They're getting lower than me. It caught me by surprise. I'm like, man, these guys working, so it made me happy.
Haven't really tackled in a while, but it felt really good.
Okay, still just 50%, Ben.
We're going to talk about a defensive line. All right, can I get a gentleman here on me and a gentleman right over here with me? Put your arm up. Just for the purposes of this, spread out that way, one step that way. Defensively, we work in groups of 3. Any way we go, we stay this line, okay? We back up, we stay together. If I come up and they don't, I've just created 2 holes. If I move this way and he doesn't rotate, so stay there, I've just created a hole. This is the defensive wall, or picket fence, and each one of these people is a picket. We don't want anybody coming into our yard. Does that make sense to everybody? So the first drill is, can I get all the red team facing me right along here?
The biggest adaptation I think football players have to rugby comes back again to the speed of the game.
Spread out a little bit farther than arm's length. Hey, there we go. Now, you're gonna maintain line integrity, okay? Everybody back up, start backing up, back, forward, left, right, back. Stop.
The fact that the game is high-paced and continues. So as an example, in the recent Australia-New Zealand game, there were over 27 phases. And that's 27 snaps of the football if you're a football player. But there's no 25 seconds or there's no time to rest and collect your thoughts. It's contact, up and go again. That's the biggest aspect of the game that players have to adapt to.
And down. Well done, come on in, fellas.
The second part that they have to adapt to is the fact that the game is a decision-making game. It's a player's game. Football is a coach's game. Even today, they have big old signs on the sideline to tell the players what call to make. In rugby, there are no signs. The signs are going to be my decision, and my decision affects the reaction of 14 other players. So it becomes important that we learn the ability to not only make a decision myself personally, but so that the other players can then react to that decision and make appropriate decisions on the move throughout the game.
This is an aggressive defense. We're going to move forward. So you guys stay back on the line. We're going to move him back to about 7 meters. He's still going to go left and right. We're still moving with him. But as soon as he starts coming forward, we're coming forward. Okay? So step forward. Now, this is where line integrity comes in. You can't go like this as a defender. You can't go, oh yeah. Okay, as soon as you close down, so you shoot up and close down, you guys stay. What'd I just create? A hole. Because this guy's smart enough, and I'm smart enough to make that hole again. Yep. Pass. Boom. I'm gonna take that line and go right through there. Okay? So line integrity is huge. We come up hard, but only as fast
as our slowest guy, okay?
So when you play football, right, there's a feeling that we all love, and it's that contact where you could just get all those raw emotions that you have inside of you, you get it out.
Anytime you see a big hit or the first day of pads, we do Oklahoma drills, it kind of gave off that same feel.
You love to see big tackles like that happen, like
that little taste of contact that we all crave.
We love this. We're having fun.
So they hit me hard, and the ball kind of flew out of my hands, and their other defender caught it. Everybody went wild. It was a good play on their part and a couple mistakes on my part.
It's just no better. Like we're learning fast. We're having fun. The coaches are great. They're actually teaching us, and we're learning.
And you can tell we're all growing and building and having that camaraderie with each other. So
it was good energy for the team and learning experience for me. So all good there.
Feed me more. Feed me more, of course. I want to learn more.
All right, listen up, please. Vast improvement over yesterday. Now, even at that, it's still confusing, okay? And I'm gonna tell you, just for me, my first game I ever played in, I had no idea what was going on. Tackle the guy, pass the ball. Okay, that's what I knew, and run with it if I had it. It's a building process. We just keep working at it. And what I'm seeing is we keep getting better each day. So I'm really pleased with the progress we're making.
RugbyTown!
USA!
I think it went pretty good. I think some guys showed up in the afternoon that, especially for my drills, that were looking for contact and were happy to embrace contact, and a couple of guys avoided it, and I think the cream's starting to rise a little bit, and some players are starting to distance themselves from the pack, if you will.
I'd say in the contact, you get to see sort of that mentality, the hammer mentality or not.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really good in the activity that we were doing, just because, and the other part of it is you set out the competition. So in our group, it was very competitive. And so I think then you get to see who really wants to dominate or to win, if you will.
The work rate in rugby is much more than football. To me, that is the biggest difference. There's no standing on the sideline when your team's on offense. You're on the field all the time. You're constantly having to work, and the more you work for the guy next to you, the more the whole team wins. So, like we've been talking about offering contracts and things, I think that's going to be one of the things we're trying to see here this week is who has that work rate of, I want to get down and dirty. I want to continually make multiple efforts in a row. So it's going to be a conditioning thing, I would say would be one of the biggest differences for me. That they're having the same goal that we're having for them.
So Cloud is down to practice and is passing right now.
Well, he was there at 7.
If you could, kind of sum me up in one word, that word would be obsessive. Wrestling, school, whatever it is, if I take interest in an activity, I want to be the best. My wrestling coach had a quote that potential was French for you haven't done shit yet. Getting up an hour and a half early. I was doing that anyways, I was waking up, so I could sit on my phone, I could read, I could talk to my friends, but all I want to do is get better at something that I'm not the best at, and I'm not even close to being there, so you'll see me out there tomorrow.
The difference my group came from yesterday to today was basically coming out with the mentality of we're going to be better than we were yesterday. Just coming out and just ultimately having fun with it and knowing that we can make mistakes and move on from it and just keep going at it and keep getting better and better.
RugbyTown, USA, holla at me.
Playing offensive line, never made tackles. I mean, unless it was an interception or something. We hadn't really had the chance to lock up in a scrum yet, but I feel like
I'll give you one that ruck.
Yeah.
That's like an old lineman coming
like
a pulling guard or
absolutely. Yeah, so clearing out the ruck for sure. Getting in there for support. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those days. Probably for him it's a little bit easier because they're taught a little bit more finesse and stuff like that as a D-line. For me it's got to be, you're a robot, do what you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, and you don't ever touch this.
Some of the things as an offensive lineman I feel like that are going to transition into rugby well are going to be just the actual physicality, not being scared to go make a tackle or not being scared to get hit or to hit somebody. Playing offensive line, you run 60, 70, 80 plays a game, you're hitting every play, whether it's running to you, away from you, or you're pass protecting, and it's going to be the same thing in rugby. So I feel like that's going to translate very well for myself.
Come on through. All right.
American football is so specialized. You have an offensive lineman, right? He has one job, and that's to block. And now we're asking him to be an offensive lineman, be a tailback for a minute or two.
And I look at everything from how they move from drill to drill, how they carry themselves, whether they're moving quick, whether they're moving slow, how they react and adapt quickly to that given drill. Ultimately, I don't mind, for example, if a guy goes through a drill and catches the ball and he drops it 15 out of 20 times. I just need to see that he can beat that first defender, how he handles that ball. We can show him and teach him and coach him up to understand that ball retention or the like, but it's just showing that original skill that he can actually proceed in rugby.
Now we're going to go 4 versus 2 bags. They can only go lateral, but they can knock the bejesus out of you with the bag. So what we have to do is create space, attack the shoulder, put the ball in the other teammate's hand that's in support, but be prepared for contact. I do this at full speed just because it's a lot more fun. It's you. Keep going. Hit him. No, so restart.
Let's give him confidence. I'm on your left, Gerard. I'm on your left. Let's go. Then he knows.
I'm behind.
Walk.
All right, ladder, Eddie. Go.
Go.
You're ready. He's going to go with you, right? Create space in the middle. Well, what do you think that defender's going to do? He might step up, so you might have to be a little deeper so you can go pass. Come on, your left. On your right. On your left. Oh, shit.
Lads, like I said, if you're trailing, I'm on your right, I'm on your left. That's going to give the carrier options and confidence. He's not looking around, where the fuck are you? Okay? Let's go.
The key thing is vision, and it happens so quickly. You know, football, sometimes you stop, you understand, and you think about the stuff that you already went through, and everything is quickly, and you're thinking on the move.
Joe, the idea was good, accuracy was not, all right?
Hey, right.
On your left. On your left.
Well done, good communication, Jalen. There you go.
My job is to go in there and try to make sure that their hand placement and everything is there. I think it's the passing that's gonna be a problem, but you know, that can be worked. That's because football with the quarterback, with one hand, their mechanics gotta be perfect. With rugby, with two-hand passing, it's all about mechanics, hand placement, and the speed of the ball, how far a player is, how hard you should pass, and everything that works through the core.
Hey, when they pass like that, you gotta do it quicker.
This is a line out, okay? What we're trying to do is lift the man into the air and support him so he can catch the ball. Once he's caught the ball, the man in the air, he has 2 options. Pass down to what we call a halfback, or he can bring that ball into his body and come down to the ground. It's important that these 2 men here are strong when he's in the air. We lift him straight down the line. We don't want to throw him over.
By the end of it, they'll have confidence in each other. Yeah, timing, the ability that you know that they're not going to drop you. And if it gets a little crazy, that back guy, it's pretty easily just to catch him on his way down.
When we want to show you a fun part of the game, right? Like, this is a unique way to enter a ball back into the field. These guys spend hours and hours and hours and countless hours thinking of plays for this and defending it. I mean, this is a very intricate part of the game. What's the success rate you want in the game?
90%.
90%.
90 plus.
So the scrum and the line out are where you guys make your money, right?
Line outs is like a dance, right? It's movement, it's timing, it's coordination between 3 individuals. Once you get it right, it's like, damn, that's nice. I'm gonna be right here on him, on my balls of my feet. He's gonna be staggered, and I'm just gonna be locked in here with him, okay? The back guy, if I push him forward, it's gonna be nuts in face, and that's not cool. All right, so we're going straight up.
Being introduced to the line out, it was different at first. I've seen it in a game, how they would go up so fast. I'm like, wow, how did they get to do that?
Okay, all right, don't kick. If you kick him in the nuts, it's not cool.
Lifting players, it was a completely different technique from anything I'd ever been taught before.
Stay stiff.
Chase and Jeelan had a whole lot of power. I think there was a little bit of struggle at first, kind of finding the timing and the hand placement.
When I really got under Ryan and was able to use my whole legs and lower portion of my body, that's when the improvement showed. So it made me go from barely locking out and struggling to keep him up there to having no problem at all.
It's all right, that's pretty good, fellas.
I could tell that my props were very interested in getting it perfect. So each repetition, they did it a little bit better, and that helped me develop trust real quick.
So first thing, you jump forward, and then you just continue to push.
I was excited because I never, had that feeling before actually doing it, physically being able to do it, and then once you get him up there, it's like, oh snap, we gotta keep him stable, because if he's not stable, he's gonna fall either forwards or backwards, and somebody's gonna get hurt.
Tighten everything up, tighten your butt cheeks, tighten your forearm, tighten everything up. So you're not a dead fish in here.
At first, he was a little stagnant, like do a little movements here, a little kick the leg here, but once we got into a rhythm, it was just straight up, tight core. It felt real good going up and real good coming back down.
So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start with 1v1s.
My first time binding up was very uncomfortable because it's a completely different position for a D lineman to be in.
And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive through the balls of our feet. And we're gonna come up into our fours.
Your body's in a bit different position. You want your knees closer to the ground and your back flat. So it's a little bit uncomfortable, but once you lock up, it became a lot more comfortable.
All right, down, down, down.
In the one-on-one scrum simulation drill, I was extremely comfortable. I've got to thank my wrestling coaches for that, because we have spent countless hours in bear crawls or with your partner on your back. So I've kind of developed a strong core, and when I think me and Chase kind of got that down pretty quickly.
Come on.
And hold, tighten, and down. All right, how did that feel?
Naturally.
Yeah?
Felt good.
Okay, now we're gonna put both arms up.
Feels
Okay,
like
try
home.
it. Don't fall on your face. Okay, if you feel uncomfortable, drop to your knees. Okay?
Feels like home.
All right, let's try it again. And up, big chest, big chest. Oh, I like it. Down, down. Well done.
Crouch. Bind.
It was a force that it almost surprises you. You used to doing things on your own, you know how strong you are. When I got a guy next to me that's 250 plus, a guy next to me is about 300, and help behind me, it's like all these guys put together, it's a strong force, especially being that hooker right there in the middle, you're feeling that initial pressure from the gate.
Being in that scrum position, I had to get my head up in between the prop and the hooker's glute, and I had to reach my hand high up into his thigh, so you have to get real comfortable with your teammates, but we were all there getting ready to hit that sled as hard as we could.
It is very hard to describe the amount of force and the amount of energy that was going into that bag. I look forward to experience it in full go.
We just got through our first scrum session, and very interesting to see the bodies come together to work as a five.
You can start to see guys who are starting to get it already.
A lot of these guys have been thrown in the deep end this afternoon, which is important because we've got to see how they react and see if they're comfortable being uncomfortable, but really happy with the progression.
You could see that they were already starting to get comfortable in it. Speed and accuracy will come with practice and stuff like that, but overall I'm pretty happy with where we are.
Is it a finished product? No, far from it, but no, it's a good step in the right direction.
Yesterday, review, how'd it go? Positives and negatives?
From my perspective, I think the guys that I thought would project picked it up pretty well. Ryan Cloud, Jeelan, Gerard, they were thrown in the deep end, they went all right.
Mostly about the backs.
Malik was perfect. We had a scrum on that side yesterday with the backs. He followed the ball all the way from that scrum all the way and took the ball and scored in the corner.
On the inside line?
No, he just looped all the way around.
Wow, Malik?
Yeah, Malik.
Yeah.
I was like,
He did what 9 should be doing, is supporting the ball.
Yeah.
And then, as we had told him in the
Score
meeting,
a lot.
you just take it off somebody else and you score.
Yeah.
And it was like picture perfect.
when they have the ball in their hand, man, they are so dangerous. They're very explosive from standing start. Imagine them running and catching the ball at the same time.
The drills you were running, the smiles on these guys' faces was like ear to ear. Like after they ran a 62 or 61, like they were running some plays and like they were doing, and then to hear from guys like Gerald, who basically kind of maybe got switched from 8 to prop a little bit, and he's like, I'm just loving this. Like he's like, I thought he might get down a little bit because it's definitely just a little bit different position. And like, he was so pumped, man.
He's loving it so much, he's out there playing catch with cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see them, the wheels turning and beginning to figure out, like, if I do this, this happens. When there is a gap, they're beginning to see the space, and then they're through it.
Yeah.
And then it's like all things are off. It's like off they go.
Yeah. So before you guys go to your practice plan, like there's a few where you're dones, and then there's a few where it's like we need to think a little longer. We need to watch a little bit more of this film this week before we can decide.
There's a couple of different things, right? Is that there's guys that have been going through COVID, they've been training by themselves, probably going to the local park or working and been like not seeing what's really, going to unfold in the next sort of 3 months, right? And also they've got a completely new sport.
I do think that's another one of those things that when we ask the questions for them to get feedback, we may find out things that we don't know.
And then we'll just have to be really clear. For me, it'll be like getting the details of like, okay, you want to be here. Can you report first week in January?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Decision day. We're gonna do everything that we can in practice, but most importantly, we're gonna have fun. So no matter the decision, I don't think anybody's gonna be completely just destroyed because we all gave it our all.
Oh, here he comes, here he comes. That's your other birthday boy, let him go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
So yesterday, observation that we've had as coaches is that there's a whole lot of big ass smiles on your face. Okay, a lot of guys going, wow, I'm getting it. I'm having fun up there, I'm having fun down here. Now what's interesting about that is we didn't even get to play a game. The game is where it's really fun. That's when the grin goes from ear to ear, okay? And you're already starting that just in practice. So just think about what's gonna happen when you're out in the game. So good job yesterday, excellent.
I'm very confident I will be receiving a contract. I feel like I have been showcasing all my skills, all my knowledge. I have been a sponge, I've been open to the coaches. I have been waiting for this day since I got here, since I've been on the plane, so I'm ready to have that conversation. Mandel Dixon, my roommate, we have been super communicative.
I take bits and pieces from him, and he takes pieces from me as well.
Yes, we do play different positions, but we feed off each other's energy. So he tells me what he has learned from his group, and I tell him what I've learned from our group.
So say we go to the locker room, he be like, hey, when you tackling, drop that shoulder, protect your head, man. I'm looking out for you. I seen it. You know what I mean? And I could tell him, hey, make sure you're running, hold that ball this way, get out that football stand so you're able to pop it out. Just different things like that.
Mandel Dixon is one of the guys who I believe is like, who is there. I really hope the coaches sign him.
So when we started, they didn't know what to expect. First day, they're performing things, they're uptight, they're trying to do well, they want to impress. Ultimately, it's like, let your natural ability be what it was or what it is and allow yourself to perform.
After 5 days of looking at all these crossover athletes, I think we are on a right path to start competing on the world stage.
It goes back to the kind of the whole theme that we're talking about. These are exceptional athletes. It's both just really exciting, but then at the same time, it's so infuriating because they are so athletic. Their ability to manipulate their body, their ability to hear, see, and then do is pretty amazing.
Here we are at the end of the camp, going through the team list and the like, and who we are interested in coming back. I think it's been a great success.
They have the opportunity to buy into their own success and their own ability to make corrections. It's different from what they've done before.
You all picked up the intensity. We started to learn about rugby, like I can't hold on to the ball, I gotta get the ball out, I gotta roll away, I can't dive on the ball. You're learning rugby. That's what that was about, all right? And it gives us an opportunity to watch you and see if you stand up and step up, okay? Because we're about stepping up. Now, this afternoon, what's gonna happen, we're having player meetings, all right, for an opportunity to get some feedback from you and give you some feedback.
with the player meetings, right? We're gonna bring you in your groups, and it's just asking you guys your experiences here, a lot of that, right? Like, how do you think you did? How do you, what do you think you could have worked on, improved on? What'd you do well? And then just, how this process was for you so we can learn as well. And then we'll talk and give our feedback as well, right? Any other questions? Good stuff today, guys.
Red team on 3. 1, 2, 3. Red team.
You have whichever one you want. This is the better one. Yeah. Okay.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Whoa, it's straight.
How we doing, man?
What's shaking?
Right.
Bacon?
Nice.
How do you think things went for you this week?
I think they went pretty well.
Some of the other coaches had doubts about him. I'm not sure where we can play him because he's not really big enough for this.
What you did show me today in the decision making in the warm-up, the cone colored drill, you showed me that you are elusive, okay, and you are quick and reactive. Then in the back end, when we had a bit of contact down there, I know you caught one to the mouth, but you were looking at me, you showed me that you had a bit of the eye of the tiger where you're like, you're not pulling me out. You had that want to stay in.
I was looking at him as just like, he's a player. He's going to be a guy, and we'll find a place for him to play.
What's it you want to do in the next 6 to 12 months?
I tend not to look that far ahead.
Okay.
How
about the next 3 months?
Next 3 months.
How about in January?
Play professionally somewhere.
Yeah, professional what?
Rugby.
Oh, good answer. Good answer, because we want to offer you the opportunity to come out here and to play.
Being offered a contract is, like I said, is a great feeling.
I am really confident about his ability to be part of our team. Norvell is an interesting character as he comes from bobsled.
Did you get that nice mask?
You gave it to me.
Matches the sweatshirt.
It does.
He is a player that exhibits an intensity. You can see this explosiveness that he has, but he also has a lot of work to do.
What things didn't go so well for you from your perspective?
One thing I do gotta get used to is gotta switch my training up. Gotta get used to this air.
He's in the backs, and in the backs, the skill set is you have to be very precise and accurate. And that's an area that he's gonna have to improve on because he was used to pushing a sled down an ice track, and we don't have an ice track. We've got a wide open field with people coming at you all sides.
So you're gonna get some fitness for 5,000 feet, right?
Yes.
Well, that excites me that you want to get fitness for 5,000 feet because we want to invite you back to this camp. We would like you to come back.
So I like to hear. So. Everybody has their ups, everybody has their downs. Everybody has their time when stuff's just not going right. And for me, I went the right way and I made the best out of it, and the feeling was just like, it was endless. I'm still feeling it now, and I'm looking forward to do bigger things. I want to break records. I want to help the community here in Colorado. I'm gonna give this state everything I got. I love y'all.
Jalen Robinson, I found him quite impressive. For a guy that weighs 290 and to move the way he moves, there's nobody in world rugby like that.
What's your plan for the future?
I was going up to Montreal to play in the CFL, and that got canceled. So next year is looking. It's open for me, and I want to see where this takes me because I just want to compete. There's nothing else that I want to do than be out there with a group of guys that I love.
We want to offer you an opportunity to come play here.
We had him for 4 days, and the things from the beginning to when we just ended were very impressive. I think this young man's going to be an international. If we don't keep him here at Glendale, I believe he could potentially be overseas playing professionally within 2 years.
You had a big smile on your face. I'm not sure that was fun.
I've never seen a kid smile so much in my entire life. Kind of lightens up the room.
So what do you think was the biggest challenge for you?
I'll say it's the lifting and the scrum, because there's two things I just wasn't familiar with.
He's a physical specimen. For his size, he's one of the quicker guys we have.
We want to offer you an opportunity to play here.
I was very honored that the coaches decided to offer me a contract. It speaks volumes with guys that have such a big resume in rugby. To see some light in me, I was very honored.
He's another guy that has a lot of potential to be a national team player and more.
Rugby reminds me a little bit of my childhood. You kind of get a little bit of that sandlot football. I just bring back that fun. I had a lot of fun, honestly. I really have.
Well, Darius, I have a question for you. Yes, sir. You ready?
Yes, sir. You serious? Yes, sir. Okay. In the next, like, 6 to 12 months, what do you want to be doing?
I just pretty much just train kids and train myself at the same time.
So would you like to train and do all those things and play rugby at the same time? Would you like to come out here and in January, December and train and play rugby and, you know?
Yes, sir.
The one question I have around family and stuff, you being here and stuff, is it going to be difficult for you to be here?
I lost my pops March 27th of 2020, and then I lost my brother July 18th of 2020. In life, you know, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. So I just took it as a point of just being motivated, you know, work a little harder, get off my butt, or, you know, being that extra provider for my family. You know, they see me as a person, you know what I'm saying, you know, chasing my dreams, chasing purpose, and chasing success. That'll be something for them to where they can look up to. Putting your best foot forward and just getting after it. I feel like I'm wanted here, so I'm more than welcome.
Definitely, man. You're wanted here for sure. Thank you for everything.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, Coach.
The amount of guys we got here in the middle of COVID with just the craziness in the world to come here and try something totally brand new was amazing.
The world has been looking at us for 25 plus years. Same with the sleeping giant. Well, it's here now.
There's so much untapped talent in this country. We've just started a flame, and I'm hoping that that fire burns.
This is something that's going to change rugby in the US, but I feel that it could potentially change world rugby.
I really respect the fact, again, that you took a risk to come out here, to get on a plane or get in a car and say, I'm going to drive to Colorado and I'm going to try a new sport and see if I can make it happen. And I'm going to tell you, you made it happen. You reinforced the belief that I have in athletes' ability to make that transition. And I know that you as individuals are dedicated to being the best you can be at whatever you do. Okay? And that's where we're going. That's how we operate.
Let's watch this clip that Travis put together for you guys.
To all the guys that lost opportunity this year, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Do not nod your head at any type of opportunities, because you'll miss out on a lot.
Anybody at home chasing your dreams, man, don't ever give up. God did not give you a talent for no reason. The people that win at the end of the day is the people that just don't quit. My advice is never, ever quit. I pray for you out there that's going through the same thing that I went through, trying out for teams, not knowing the outcome, things don't always fall in your favor. God is working behind the scenes, man, and you keep pushing for real.
Getting cut from the Browns or the Broncos doesn't mean you got cut from life. Move forward, become a part of something like this, because we don't throw people over. You have purpose and you have meaning.